Hi, everybody. This is Jolly, and welcome to my channel, or welcome back if you're coming from my first video, which was my walkthrough of the all the cards I made from the full deck challenge. Don't panic. This video is going to be much shorter than that one. But in addition to doing the full deck challenge last year, I also got very into making artists books in different ways. And so I thought I'd start just by going through uh, actually the most recent one. So I'm going to go backwards. So this is going to be another sort of flip through, but this time of a very unique artist book. And so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to show it to you first and then sort of talk through some of the process or the materials, etc. So this is actually if you thought the altered playing cards were a small canvas on which to work, we it I does get even smaller. So I just have this here in a little bag, which I really like, but I would like to, I think, somehow decorate this. I don't know how though, since it's this kind of slippery material. So if anybody has any ideas on how to spruce this up, let me know. But this is the book, this tiny, tiny little book. Um, and so this is an altered domino accordion book. So I saw this idea originally on here on YouTube with Ideas for Two, is I believe the channel, and I can link that video below as well. Um, but yeah, so basically, this is two altered dominoes, and then with an little accordion book in the middle. So, real quick, so these are the dominoes. So I got a pack of 10 of these. These are real, these are wood vintage wood dominoes I got from a seller on Etsy. And they're very cool. I feel a little bad covering them up, but they worked perfectly for this project. Um, but yeah, sorry, I was showing the book. So here I've just got some lace, which to keep it sort of together. And so this is just regular lace, and I dyed it to make it kind of more vintagey looking and go along with the book itself. So I do a lot of dyeing with coffee, even though I don't drink coffee. But for this one, actually, what I've been doing instead is so I like to make little acrylic sprays, which I take acrylic ink and then I mix it with some distilled water and just put it in these little spray bottles. And so this is a burnt umber acrylic ink that I mix with water, and I like it. It's very similar. It gives a very similar effect to coffee, but I like that it's permanent and also, it doesn't really have the smell or whatever. So yeah. So then this is the cover, the front cover. Um, it's got glossy accents on it and a little collage. So the basis of this book, so the book is really designed around cabinet cards. So I've become very obsessed over this year with collecting vintage cabinet cards. And so if you haven't seen a cabinet cards, these are cabinet cards. And so they're usually from the 18 and 1900s. They're photographs. Sometimes, if you're lucky, they have these very cool designs on the back. And I have been collecting them. So I mentioned Patty Lang at Sacred Mementos in my last video. I got some from her and from Stephanie French, from Kate at Inked Paper Arts as well. I've gotten them from Mark on Park on Etsy. And also a bunch of other sort of Etsy sellers. So I think I've gone from having none earlier this year to I think I probably have well over 100. So and I love them a lot. They are really cool. And so what I do is when I get them, I scan them And then in this case, I sort of cropped them down and made my own little printable of them so that they would fit on these tiny little pages. Um, Other cabinet cards that I have are also featured in the next artist book that I'm going to show. So I just really love using them. They're kind of like the Tim Holtz paper dolls, but obviously unique to me since only I have these cabinet cards. But yeah, so as you can see, I basically did, and I called it, sorry, Bone Book because so I've never actually played dominoes, but I looked up sort of terms for dominoes, and bones is a term that's used for the pieces, and also men. So I kind of liked that since obviously uh, this is based around photos of men. I liked the idea of a bone book. So basically, as you'll see in a second, if I ever stop yapping, is that all of the pages in this little book are a collage essentially with a couple of few elements. So there's generally a vintage paper. So either this is actually, I believe, an old sort of doctor's note. So there's also old book page, old wallpaper, old music paper. You'll see, and then the photo, which I printed on a cardstock and fussy cut, and then these I went and cut lines from vintage books as well and just sort of used a couple of those. So very, very tiny collages, but I really love the effect. So finally, let's go through. And so these are sort of the first two spread, this first spread, this is an end page actually from a vintage book. This is actually a sort of a cloth tea bag. I did a tea advent calendar this year in December, and they came with these really neat cloth tea bags. So I'm definitely using those in projects. And then this one on the right here is vintage wallpaper. Again, vintage book page, and then this was some in a this bluish paper was in a pack for about of old railroad documents that I got from Patty Lang at Sacred Mementos. Uh, this this in the back is also from a railroad. It's sort of a diagram of an engine, I believe, which I thought was really cool. And then this is just a little metal cog. So uh, probably the next one I do, which I will be doing more of these. I loved making this. I will probably not include these at all. I've also been dipping my toe into assemblage um, or assemblage in the past year, and so I really wanted to add some more dimensional elements, but I'm not sure this is really the right project because kind of as you can see, I've got a button on the other side here and it's actually causing a little tear. So um, I didn't go for anything too thick, but probably best in this case to just skip that for this particular style of book. And then we've got some lace here. And then this is my sort of favorite drywall repair tape. I think I learned about this from Aaron over at EB Mixed Media, and I really love sort of coloring it, painting it, and using it for some texture. And again, this is some vintage ledger in the background, some more vintage book page. Um, this is again a railroad document in the background, and this is more vintage wallpaper. The vintage wallpaper I get from Jubilee Flea, which is based sort of near me in Northern Virginia. And again, more lace. And then this is the back cover, again with the glossy accents. And then on this side, we have some vintage sheet music. And then this is, as I mentioned in my full deck challenge video, I think this is a jump ring that I set on some music paper and filled with glossy accents. Uh, Again, more vintage ledger here. This is one of my favorite little pages. So this is again more vintage wallpaper, some little cutout stars, which also I also used in my full deck challenge, and then the words. And again, this is also vintage wallpaper on the right side. This is one of my favorite spreads because this is I kind of just had fun with. So I had the words exude joy from a vintage book, and I chose probably the least joyful looking person I had, and use that there. And then this guy, I love his hair, his stare, so he could only be distinct. But again, some vintage book page in the back of both of these. Dress the part, so over some vintage wallpaper, and then with a little vintage button. And then this again is, I believe, one of the railroad documents. And since it was all prices, I went with well to do and more of that cloth tea bag. And so, yeah, it sort of ties up here. Um, it's very cute, very small. So, yeah, that is my little domino accordion book. Again, I've got sort of 8 more of these dominoes, so I'm definitely going to be using them. I have more of these cabinet cards picked out that I want to work with. But yeah, so uh, sort of a quick video, again, just kind of showing uh, this little domino flip book, and I kind of love how it turned out and was just really fun to do and to make these tiny little cloches. And I think it's actually inspired me. I mentioned in my last video that I think I want to participate in the 100-day project for the first time. And I think making these tiny collages with these using scans of these cabinet cards, um, I think that might be part of. I'm still deciding what I want to actually do for the 100-day challenge or the 100-day project, but I think that might just be something that I do in some form. Oh, and then this is just vintage map in the background of this one. So, all right, just a little quick walkthrough, and I'll be back soon with another artist book walkthrough. Thanks, everybody.